Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. The September 17th, 2025 meeting of the City Council will now come to order at 6 p.m. Winnie, may we have roll call, please?
Jessica Ayers.
Here.
Nick Card.
Here.
Kevin Keating.
Here.
Mike Curlinger.
Yep.
John Quinn.
Here.
Zach Smith.
Here.
Kevin Stein.
Here.
And Garrett West.
Here.
We have 8 present.
Excellent. We have a quorum, and just as a brief one, I ended up making a funny joke at your expense, and I apologize, because then I almost started singing the Star Spangled Banner to kick this one off. So I got to be real cautious about confusing myself on this. Agenda item 20, City Manager Reports.
I would like to hear you sing.
No, I don't think you do. I don't think you do.
That's it. I think it is. Screen. Okay. Good evening, Rob Field, your city manager, to give the bi-weekly report on goings on around the wonderful city of Medford. First of all, we had a groundbreaking the other day. That was attended by several distinguished people. Obviously, you can see Councilor Stein front and center. We had 3 current mayor and 2 former mayors. Mayor Wheeler and Mayor Sparacino were also in attendance. Number of folks were there. Harry Weiss is our speaker. Gave us some history on how long it took and how much effort went into bringing this great project into downtown. First new hotel project, and it's hard to say how long. So, and it's kind of there. It was a true groundbreaking. They already had actually started doing work. So it's not one of those things where you turn a spade of dirt and then wait 3 months to see actual activity. It's actually going on right now. MPD is hosting Safety Saturday at Rogue Valley Mall. Community partners provided booths and raffle prizes, and families enjoyed it. It was a great weather day, so had a lot of fun and a safety-focused day. TSAP, Transportation Safety Action Plan, open house. This is a pretty critical part of our ongoing efforts to improve traffic safety around the city of Medford. October 2nd from 5:30 to 7:30 p.m. at Rogue X. There's an online survey that's available for those who are unable to attend or wish to otherwise participate. Night of Heroes, a new event. Medford Parks and Recreation. Inspired by popular mother, son, and father-daughter dances. They're going to have games, costumes, all kinds of different stuff. October 3rd from 6 to 9 p.m. at Rogue X, which is getting plenty of views for those of you who made it to the chamber dinner the other night. League of Oregon Cities meeting. The League had a meeting in Jacksonville the other day. City Attorney Mitten and I went to represent the city. Their focus this year is going to be working on revenue shortages. They recognize the challenges that the cities are facing. They're looking at property tax limits that are brought to us courtesy of Measures 5 and 50. They're going to be providing additional details soon, but wanted to make sure you were aware that they've got a roadshow going on, and they're working on that issue, which of course hits us pretty hard. Fire Station 15. As it turns out, it's a good thing we didn't have any windy days, because it took 24 minutes. I said 25 minutes earlier, and I was correct. No, 24 minutes to tear this thing down. If there had been a little bit of an earthquake or something, it would have gone down a long time ago. So it's great that we have started construction on the news station. It's come along. The temporary station is in place. Temporary apparatus bay, which will be converted into a logistics facility, is in place. So it's come along. If you get a chance, head on over there. It's right by North Medford High School. And with that, that completes my report. Thank you.
Super. Any questions? Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
We'll move on to Human Resources Director Bonnie Barish to recognize 2 employee anniversaries and 1 retirement.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. My name is Bonnie Barish. I'm your HR Director, and I have the privilege of, again, it's always fun to celebrate our people. And so tonight we have a service anniversary for Peter McPrang. He's an Associate Traffic Engineer with 20 years of service. He could not be here tonight, but please let's recognize Peter McPrang. And I know maybe a few of you know who this person is. We are celebrating our police chief, Justin Ivins, 30 years of service. So let me talk a little bit about Chief Ivins. He was raised in Medford, Oregon, yay, and graduated from Western Oregon State University. He began his career with Medford Police Department as a CSO, or Community Service Officer, in 1995, and then became a patrol officer very shortly after in 1996. You're always an overachiever. And in 2001, he was selected for the newly formed Gang and Street Unit. As a major crimes detective, he gained extensive experience in interviews and interrogations, training officers in search warrant preparation and sexual assault response. In 2009, he played a crucial role in founding the Oregon Homicide Investigators Association. He spent 14 years as a detective, and then after that, he was promoted to sergeant, advanced to lieutenant, and then to deputy chief in August of 2019. And by December of 2021, he assumed his current role as chief of police for our Medford Police Department. He is committed to a participatory leadership style. He really has he provides his staff with the tools they need to do their job and be successful, and he mentors them. Chief Ivins believes that developing leaders from the outset is essential to an officer's success. Chief Ivins is married to his lovely wife, Katie, who couldn't be here tonight, and they've been married for over 25 years. Katie retired as a detective from the Medford Police Department, and she had 25 years of service. 25 is a good number. They have 2 children, their son Dylan, who is completing his final term of college, and their daughter Ella, who is here tonight, who recently graduated from Arizona State, and she is now working for the Medford Police Department. So please join me in celebrating 30 years of service for Chief Justin Ivins.
I'll say just a quick comment. Unlike the other gentleman, I kind of have to be here. But no, just thanks. I appreciate the ovation. And this has kind of been my home, away from home for a long time. So anyways, I got a little bit left in the tank. We'll kick this through the finish line, and a lot of good things. And just truly appreciate your guys' support of the police department. Thanks.
Congratulations, Chief. And then lastly, but by no means least, we have a retirement from Sergeant Ben Lytle. It has 20 years of service, but he's actually been here for over 30-something because he started out doing odd jobs as a young person in terms of working in the police department. He couldn't be here today, but we want to recognize the service that he provided. So congratulations on his retirement and the next chapter for Sergeant Ben Lytle. And that concludes the employee recognition. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Bonnie, and congratulations to our outstanding employees, and thank you for our many years of service to our community. We're going to continue on with some community group reports. First up, we have Rogue Disposal and Recycling Customer Service Manager Holly Deemer to give us the quarterly update for Rogue Disposal. Well, if I stole your thunder, please just go
How's
ahead
that?
and do it.
Ooh.
Just go right over it.
I was going to introduce myself, but thank you for having me, Mayor and Council. I believe you all have a little packet that I had handed out earlier. So Yes, I am here for the biannual update on what's happening at Rogue and what we see on the horizon. So tonight, I want to talk just a little bit about the Recycling Modernization Act, or like we like to call RMA, which is a lot fewer syllables. So I'm going to talk about why the changes are being made to our recycle system, which is statewide, and how these changes directly affect Rogue and our customers here in the Valley. So if we go back a couple of years, back to 2018, I'm sure many of you remember that the recycling markets collapsed, and that was due to China's national sword, which is when they stopped accepting materials from the United States. So that made us take a closer look at the weaknesses in the system and address them, and then create more efficient and adaptable ways to recycle common consumer product packaging. So the effect that had on the customers that we have here in the Valley at that time was we significantly reduced the list of items that we accepted curbside. We made sure it was only the items that we knew were recyclable. It was extremely necessary to educate customers at that time about contamination, and then we were able to use our voices through that experience to call for changes to the system. So now let's fast forward to July 1 of this year, and that was the official start date of the Uniform Statewide Collection List, which is basically a fancy term for our new curbside material list. So, and that's right here, up there, the first page of your packet. So the hope with this list is that it eliminates some customer confusion by having consistency throughout the state, which is nice. And the list was established through a combined effort from a work group made up of industry experts, haulers, sort facilities, and of course DEQ to vet 75 possible materials for this list. Now, the materials that did make the list were proven to be effectively recycled by responsible end markets. So we know they're getting recycled. And this list, they wanted it to be, this new system to be adaptable. So materials can be added. They'll go through the same process, the same vetting as these original items. And it's not unheard of for materials to be removed, which is a very difficult process, but it can be done. So it's a pretty adaptable system. And then the materials on this statewide list that are either new or honestly returning to our curbside program, we are now accepting a broader range of plastics. So now we take the number 5 tubs, your sour cream, your cottage cheese, your yogurt, and clean nursery pots, clean buckets, emphasis on the word clean, and then mixed fibers, or under the cardboard and carton section, aseptic cartons. So those are your milk cartons and soup cartons. And the one that still gets me, is interesting to me, but under metal, you can actually put pots and pans in your curbside cart. So some changes there. And then how do we get the word out? And the first and foremost, our website is going to be the most current, correct information. So we've got this flyer as a PDF on the website, and anytime there's any changes made, we'll put them there first. We will do some social media. In the future, we'll probably have a direct mailer, but we want to make sure this is all finalized before we do that. We have an oops tag that goes on carts that have contamination. That's the second page in your packet. And within the next couple months, we will also have new cart stickers with the new items on there. So our contamination protocol is going to stay the same. We will we as, our drivers, will identify the contamination in carts, and then we'll notify customers, communicate with them, and educate them on why it's important to keep the stream clean. So that hasn't changed from what we've been doing. So what's next with RMA is the Recycle On centers. And the Recycle On is a brand that the customers will be seeing, and you can see it, it's on the bottom left of the recycle guide, and it's also on the top of the OOPS tag. So that's what consumers will see. I think there's I know there is a billboard down by Spaghetti Factory that already is up for Recycle On. And these centers are for your hard to recycle materials, the ones that are not suitable to go in the curbside cart. However, if we collect them individually, then there's a market for them. So there'll be, to start with, there'll be 3 locations in Jackson County to accept these materials. One will be at our transfer station, Recycle Depot, out in White City. Then there'll be one in Ashland and one in Eagle Point. And I'll just briefly list the items that will be accepted at those Recycle On facilities. Plastic bags and stretchy plastics, that's great. Plastic lids, rigid plastic package handles, so like your 6-pack for your soda, and aluminum foil or trays, and then shredded paper. So that's quite significant. Those are some great items that people really wanted to recycle, so that's great. And then just lastly, people ask, well, how is this program being funded? And recycling isn't free, and there is an added cost in fixing the system. So a unique feature of RMA is that it includes a method by which the producers and manufacturers of all kinds of plastic and paper packaging are now required to pay into the upgrades in technology and expansion to improve this system. So this is known as Extended Producer Responsibility, or EPR, another acronym for you. And basically that's just the changes that are needed to the system will be funded by the companies who make the packaging. And with EPR, some good news, the expenses do not extend to the ratepayer like they have in the past. So that's all I have. If you have any questions?
Yeah, thank you. Questions, Kevin?
Obviously, a ton of information here. So you talked about the stickers. So obviously, when I was a kid, it used to be 2 people that would run around, and one person would throw the trash in the truck or recyclable, and and they would put the thing back and then go catch up with the truck. It's obviously not like that anymore because you have a guy in a truck that's doing something and doesn't have to
It's
leave
all
the vehicle.
automated, yeah.
So when you talk about stickers, like, are you going to have someone out there with a sticker putting it on, or you're just talking about, because if you're talking about new recycle bins, I mean, that's only going to be a very small percent
Correct.
that you're going to be able to get the sticker on. So how are you going to get the stickers on all the old bins?
That's a great question. And when we first put stickers on them years ago, we actually hired out to do that. Just honestly, like some college kids on bikes, and it seemed to work. We honestly don't know what route we're going at this time. Yes, we are going to put them on all new carts that go out. That's the easiest way to do that. But we've talked about are we going to send them to customers and let them put it on? Are we going to have drivers do it? We haven't yet determined that. There is funding in certain areas of this, and so we're kind of waiting to see where those are allocated, and it maybe that's going to affect our decision, basically, on how we get those distributed.
Okay. Second thing is, so frozen boxes have to go in the trash.
Frozen is
What
trash.
about boxes that go in your refrigerator?
Boxes in your refrigerator, I know it sounds crazy, but those are accepted. The frozen ones are not.
Okay, because it didn't say specifically. It just said the frozen ones weren't, but it doesn't say anything about the refrigerated boxes.
No, and I admit there's some vagueness to the list, and customers should probably just call us to get the information, because remember, this is statewide, and there's areas in Oregon that don't even have recycle right now. They don't have the option to recycle. So they're starting in certain, I think there were levels or something, and we were one of the top ones because we already had something in place. So there's a little bit of vagueness, but, and it's hard to make a complete list.
I mean, I know, yeah, there's
Yeah.
however many hundreds,
But just
thousands
call
of
us
different
or email
things
us.
that people don't want anymore, and then, people want to recycle. It's just
Oh, wishful
making
recycling?
making sure the right things go in there is
Yes. and
difficult to
that's-
know.
Yes, it is, and that's our job to educate. Yeah, educate the public.
Thanks.
So, thank you for your questions.
Kevin?
Thank you. I've got like 3 questions, so I'll just run them off by junk mail and empty stuff there. Is that recyclable? 2, is it still all going to China or other markets or domestic? And then lastly, what are your contamination rates like, or have they been improving?
Okay, what was the first question again? Junk mail is accepted, yes. You can put that in your curbside cart. Yep. No shiny, like wrap. But other than that, like you can leave the windows in envelopes and things like that. That can all go in your curbside cart. No, we are not sending anything to China anymore. Everything has a domestic market on this list, and a lot of them are in Oregon because we have a lot of paper products here. I apologize. What was your third
That's
question?
all right. No, contamination rates.
Have
Have they been improving or not?
Laura Liebrick, who I assume you all know, would have a better idea of this, but I believe it's under 20% for sure. And the hope is with this is to be statewide at 25%. And we have some of the cleanest recycle in the state. So I'm pretty sure it's probably even less than 15%. It's pretty good. Now that was audits that we took after we removed all those items from the list in 2018. So now, because it's July 1st was the start of this new list, and Rogue isn't doing the audits themselves, it will be someone else doing it. So we don't have those numbers yet. So
Okay,
no new
thank you.
numbers. You're welcome.
Other questions? Thank you very much for your
You're
time.
welcome. Have a good evening.
We have one other community group report. Road Community College President Randy Weber is here tonight to provide an update. Welcome, Randy.
Oh, see, I was bragging too early. I thought I'd hit the button. Hi, Randy Weber, President, Road Community College. I see a number of familiar faces. Some of you haven't had a chance to meet yet. One of the things that we're doing at the college is we're working more intentionally on our telling our story efforts. So you might see more of me or members of our team coming up. So what I wanted to do was just briefly kind of give an update on the college, and in future reports we might give more specific initiative efforts. One of the things that we talked about maybe discussing was an economic impact report from 2020, 2021, but that's a little dated, and so I want to use more recent information, which is the Carnegie Foundation, which has historically been the group that's classified institutions, colleges, and universities as we think of them for doctoral and masters and regional universities and research and associates. They realized their classification system was pretty stale. So they went and they said, we're going to reclassify institutions because community colleges are doing bachelor's degrees and regional universities are doing doctorates. So they had to blow up their model. But as part of it, they said, we want to identify model institutions who meet specific criteria, and we're going to call them opportunity colleges or universities. And in order to earn this designation, an institution has to be as or more representative than the communities they serve, and their former students had to be earning for community colleges at least 25% higher than the median wage for those who hadn't earned that credential. And we are very proud to say that we are the only public college or university in Oregon to earn that distinction. So when you look at the economic impact report and you see this distinction from a highly regarded organization like the Carnegie Foundation, it really reinforces us saying that, investing your time, energy, and efforts at Rogue Community College is worth the efforts put forth. So you couple that with the fact that RCC has been the fastest growing college over the last couple of years, and quick numbers on that is community colleges the past 2 falls have grown by about 13%, and RCC's been up 36%, so it's been pretty significant. It demonstrates really positive momentum, and I get asked a lot about that. It's like, how are you guys making that momentum? And I clearly say, well, definitely our team is really committed to this mission and this effort to do so, but additionally, it's through partnerships. And the partnerships have been so critical to our presence in the community and will be critical to the future in the community. So we worked really hard with K-12 to say, how can we grow dual credit efforts? How can we make sure that students who may not want to go directly to college or university and may want to come back because they need to get a job are getting some workforce credentials while they're in high school? We're really visiting the formula and the model and kind of blowing it up to say that it needs to be more relevant to 21st century workforce needs. And we're seeing really positive efforts through that. But the other component of that is how are we working with our communities to make sure that we're meeting their needs. And this is where I want to highlight the significant and positive momentum we've made with Medford. You're all well aware we have our Riverside campus as the higher ed center just down a couple blocks from here. We took a really big hit in enrollment at Riverside campus when the pandemic came around. It's rebounded really strong. I think at our peak we were probably north of about 2,000 students enrolled in person there, and we're back up to about 1,400 right now. I don't know where we're capped at. A lot of students have moved to online, but definitely we're seeing an increased presence. I started in the fall of 22, and that campus was close to a ghost town. Now I've got people saying, can you put like baffles in here? It's so noisy. It's hard to hear, which I love kind of having that problem. So we really appreciate our relationship with Medford. And a couple examples of how that relationship works is a couple of years ago we started, and I'm so glad to see Chief here. Chief was part of a conversation that we had around safety and security around campus and some other community leaders in the area, and really helped facilitate some great conversations. We're really excited at the gains that have been made the last couple of years, and definitely recognize that our campus and the area around it has a safer presence today than it did even just a couple of years ago. Also, we've talked about continued parking challenges our students and staff have had, and we had conversations with Harry and Kelly when she was here about how we might look at addressing that. And we now lease from the city the Almond Street parking lot, and it definitely hasn't solved the problem, but it's an example of a right step in toward a positive solution. Currently, we have really good conversations with Rob and Warren about ways that we can work together to advance an agenda forward. And I often get say in settings like this and elsewhere that if I had one wish for Southern Oregon, that it would be that we would grant ourselves a permission structure to dream, and we wouldn't really settle for. And when I observe the actions of the city of Medford, I see that that's exactly what the city is doing. You guys are really working aggressively toward a better Medford, a more prosperous and productive Medford. And so what I want to tell you is that in this work, you've got a partner in RCC. So with that, I'll yield and field any questions if there are any.
Okay. Kevin?
So is the HEC building the only remaining RCC, the only remaining building that you guys have, or do you still have what's called the C building and the G building?
Yeah.
If I remember right, because I remember the one right off Main Street, or not Main Street, sorry, off Central, you're trying to rent out. How'd that go?
You bet. So current status is that we have the higher ed center that we co-own with Southern Oregon University. Across the street on Bartlett, we still have our Student Success Center, and that is currently owned by the college and is definitely in use and is really busy. Additionally, we do have what was our A building on Riverside, and then the G building, which is the old Montgomery Wards. Depending on how long you lived here, you know that. I don't know the address, but those two we still own and are vacant and are for sale. And part of the challenges as the college has grown over the last couple of years, it's what programs and where the needs are. So we're growing transportation technology and going to bring its presence to Jackson County and put a place at White City. It's really hard to do diesel technology in downtown Medford. So that's a program that logically fits out in White City. And so looking at the programs, whereas early childhood education and human services, those are downtown. So more the traditional transfer degrees or classroom offerings. Our only science labs in Jackson County today are in Medford at the Higher Ed Center. But so those two buildings.
Great, thank you.
Other questions? Mr.
If you don't
Keating?
mind. I'm sorry. Can you tell me about the manufacturing program that you have up in White City? I think there were 3 or 4 different ones, and high school students could earn an AA while they were in high school and still graduate from high school as well?
Yeah, so you're asking me a dangerous question. It's a very comprehensive program. I've got limited knowledge in. So we offer the manufacturing program in our higher ed tech or high tech center. High Tech Center is the building there, and so we have machining and welding. We had mechatronics. Mechatronics struggled really. I think we offered that in response to industry, and for one reason or another, it didn't have staying power. So we're really revisiting and saying where and what are those industry needs. Machining is held pretty strong with enrollment. Welding has just grown crazy. For example, a couple falls ago, we had about 55, 60 students in welding between the 2 campuses that offer it. Now we have over 130, and a lot of that is the way in which our faculty have thought about flipping the classroom and doing more of an open lab setting where the instructors allow students to come in and demonstrate competency toward the skills, and they're not doing a lecture style. So employers are able to send more employees over staggered times, and so that's an example of one of the many strategies we've deployed to say how do we become a faster growing college.
Dr. Weber, you spend a lot of time out in the business community. I see you everywhere. What's your finger on the pulse when it comes to what businesses are needing in terms of education? And do you foresee more opportunities in the future to partner with businesses in different industries to maybe do some additional training?
Yeah, I appreciate the question. And so, for years I used to field questions similar to this where we would work with the workforce and say, what can we do to help skill up your workforce, your workers? And their response was, well, what if I train them and they leave? To which my response was, well, what if you don't train them and they stay? Like, well, if you don't have a skilled workforce, and they seem to just be fine with that. Then over the last decade or so, right, we really had this worker and this skilled worker shortage. So what we found the last couple years is that employers are more willing to invest in skilling up their current employees if we can offer a program in a way that meets their needs. So because we cross a lot of industries, it really depends. In early childhood, we've revamped the program where employees working in the industry can come get credentials so that they can earn more. We filled cohorts in weeks with the way that goes. So it really depends on the employer. We continue to hear soft skills, which are really kind of tricky, but things that maybe in an associate's program through the general ed courses students get, but maybe in a certificate program where they're just getting the skills and trade, they miss those. So how do I act in front of a customer if I show up at their house to fix their air conditioner? Are they even going to let me in if they've got young children in there, the way I present myself and carry? So those are kind of some of those soft skills in addition to the technical. So what we're finding from a lot of industries is we've got a current workforce that was hard for us to get. How can you help skill them up? There's definitely, we're fielding a lot of questions around how we might support knowledge and growth in AI. A lot of this technology turning over. So it's a great question, and I want to be cautious of your time because it probably is a different answer depending upon industry that we're speaking with.
Other questions?
Thank you so
Thanks
much for your
coming.
time today.
All right, we will move on to oral requests and communications, where the City Council sets aside 30 minutes for in-person public comments. Comments are limited to 2 minutes per person or organization. As outlined in the agenda, the public may also submit written comments to the council. However, we did not receive any written public comments tonight. Before hearing public comments, I'd like to note the decorum policy for the council chambers. The use of noisemakers or disruptive audience behavior, such as applause, cheering, or shouting, is not permitted. Decorum violations are time-consuming and disrespectful to the speaker and all attendees. Failure to follow basic standards of decorum may result in removal of the meeting. Finally, I would like to emphasize that this is your opportunity to provide comments to the council and is not intended to be a time for questions and answers. If you have completed a public comment form, please come to the front of the room when your name is called. The time is 6:34. Winnie, has anyone completed a public comment card?
Yes, Your Honor, we have 2, Chris Turner and Bill Dames.
Chris, you can come on up. Just go ahead and introduce yourself and get started.
All right, thank you. My name is Chris Turner. My statement includes a lot of questions. They're all rhetorical. So good evening. I'm a registered voter in Medford. It's been suggested that someone of my generation doesn't appreciate the value of a less than AAA team for Medford. So far, I can still understand numbers, and this plan does not add up well. The sales pitch made by the Emeralds included page after page of contributions by the team to their community, yet the community doesn't value that enough to keep the team. Let's call that -1. Of note, even the head pitch man is no longer with the team. Another -1. The Emeralds share an amazing, admittedly amazing ballpark surrounded on all sides by open space, +1. Here, would it butt up against housing? Would current housing need to be raised? What about the noise from the estimated 186 annual events? Have you been to a rodeo? No, wait, those are indoors at the expo where they belong. By the way, the land around Rogue X is being remediated to counter noise generated from the new pickleball courts. That's a fact. But would the crown jewel of Creekside Quarter sit empty in the winter? Anybody keeping score? I'm looking like a -5 so far. Is the ultimate goal for Medford to be Southern Oregon's playground, a motel mecca catering to those from out of the area? Would the influence from a quote-unquote private developer create a venue that locals couldn't afford to attend? It's my suggestion that you turn away from this concept to focus on people that are here every day. Do the math.
Thank you. Bill?
I'm Bill Dames from 2337 Kona Circle. The stuff I sent you in the past, those articles from the paper, show that there's a clear intent in the past, both from monies set forth in bond issues as well as donations from past citizens. I mean, we've got Mr. Mann. I don't know if any of you remember Mann's Department Store, but you remember Harry and David, obviously, and also, well, my doctor from way back when was giving money, and an owner of the Mail Tribune. These are all civic-minded people that gave money and supported bond issues to have a park. And I think I would challenge you to look through the records, because we've got Frank Farrell, the city attorney, deeding the property of the city. And why in the heck did that come about? I mean, there got to be records back there that show that. But I think the records clearly show that everybody really wanted a park, and that's the way it should stay. So I'm just encourage you to continue that as a park, put the ballpark somewhere else. So lots of places you can put it. So thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else here tonight that wishes to speak but didn't fill out a comment card? All right, well, seeing none, we move on to minutes. We've all received the draft minutes from the September 3rd, 2025 regular meeting. Does anyone have any revisions or corrections to those minutes? No? All right, seeing none, the minutes will stand as presented. Let's go to agenda item 60, consent calendar. There are 3 items on the consent calendar tonight, Mr. Mitten.
Thank you, Your Honor. Item 60.1 is Council Bill 2025-75, an ordinance authorizing execution of a grant agreement and acceptance of home investment partnerships program funding in the amount of $354,271.07 from the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development to expand the supply of affordable housing for low-income households and to strengthen the partnerships between government and the private sector in housing development. Item 60.2 is Council Bill 2025-76, an ordinance authorizing execution of a grant agreement and acceptance of the Community Development Block Grant funding in the amount of $615,563 from the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development to develop a viable urban community by providing decent housing and a suitable living environment, and by expanding economic opportunities, principally for low and moderate income persons. Before I read 60.3, I just want to note a very minor change to 61 and 60.2 2 in that the final recital, the consolidated plan, the published ordinances have the old consolidated plan date. We're correcting that to the current consolidated plan date. Just want to note that for the record. And then 60.3 is Council Bill 2025-77, a resolution setting a public hearing date for November 5th, 2025, and initiating the annexation of 2 developed parcels totaling approximately 0.95 acres located east of Table Rock Road, address 3524 and 3528 Table Rock Road. The county zoning designation of RR 2.5 will be changed to the city's light industrial zone with an I00 limited industrial overlay. The property will be removed from Rural Fire Protection District Number 2. Thank you.
Well done, that was a mouthful. Good job. All right, I will entertain a motion to approve the consent calendar. Mr. Card,
So moved.
and I'll also take a second.
Second.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. West. Items to be removed. Mr. Stein,
60.2.
any else?
60.3.
Okay. Just in case. All right. Why don't we ballot on the remaining item? Winnie, could we have roll call, please?
Nick Card,
Yes.
Garrett West,
Yes.
Kevin Stein,
Yes.
Zach Smith,
Yes.
John Quinn,
Yes.
Jessica Ayers,
Yes.
Kevin Keating,
Yes.
and Mike Curlinger.
Yes.
We have 8 yes.
Okay, that one passes. 60.2. Kevin, what would you have a question or need to
No,
start?
no, my only thing is I have a conflict of interest, so I must abstain.
Okay. Anyone else? No? I'll entertain a motion for Council Bill 2025-76. Mr. Card?
I move to approve Council Bill 2025-76. Second.
So Card and West, any discussion? Winnie, will you call the roll?
Nick Card,
Yes.
Garrett West,
Yes.
Kevin Stein,
Abstain?
Jessica Ayers,
Yes.
Kevin Keating,
Yes.
John Quinn,
Yes.
Zach Smith,
Yes.
and Mike Curlinger.
Yes.
We have 7 yes and 1 abstention.
Okay, that passes. 60.3, would you have a question or?
Yes, and it's entirely due to inexperience.
Okay.
So we're setting just a public hearing for this, so the annexation is not inherently moving forward. During the public hearing, is there any discussion around the zoning or how it's being looked at with the GLUP or future development for that property?
Good evening, Mayor and Councilors. I'm Kelly Aiken with your Planning Department. So that is something that the council has the opportunity to do. The applicant can request for the zone to be changed at the time of annexation. So yes, it can be changed at that time.
Thanks.
You bet.
All right.
Thank you.
Mr. Card?
I move to approve Council Bill 2025-77.
Mr. West?
I second the motion.
There we go. Any discussion? Seeing none, Winnie, will you call the roll?
Nick Card,
Yes.
Garrett West,
Yes.
John Quinn,
Yes.
Kevin Keating,
Yes.
Kevin Stein,
Yes.
Zach Smith,
Yes.
Jessica Ayers,
Yes.
and Mike Curlinger.
Yes.
We have 8 yes.
Motion carries. On to ordinances resolutions, of which there are 2 items for consideration tonight, Mr. Midden.
Thank you, Your Honor. Item 80.1 is Council Bill 2025-78, an ordinance authorizing and approving an amendment to the existing intergovernmental agreement between the City of Medford and Jackson County for the use of adult jail beds.
Staff report or motion? Kevin Stein would like to make a motion?
Staff report.
Staff report.
Mayor and Council, Eric Mitten, your city attorney. I'm also joined tonight by the Honorable Virginia Greer, Municipal Court Judge, Chief Justin Ivins, and Sheriff Nate Sickler. And in full transparency, while I'm going to give the staff report, I will be deferring all hard questions to one of them. So, this agreement is for the use of jail beds. What is an agreement for jail? The 3 things I'm going to touch on: what is the purpose of these jail beds, the history of our agreement, and the latest negotiation leading to the agreement for a proposal tonight. What's the purpose of these jail beds? These are reserved beds that takes these out of the normal matrix at the the Jackson County Jail. When someone is lodged by any law enforcement agency, there's a matrix that deals with when they get released. How that matrix works is a great question for a criminal attorney rather than a civil attorney, but there is a matrix, or so I'm told. And that does govern the normal channels in terms of when individuals are released. The city years ago began to pay to have a certain number of beds pulled out of that matrix and in the direct control of the municipal court judge to hold people for particular purposes, either pretrial or to ensure that a sentence of 15 days for a conviction is fully carried out. Initially, it was just for 3 jail beds. In 2022, that agreement was increased to 8 jail beds. The formula for the agreement, it used to be that we would pay for beds when we used them. In 2022, due to the fact that we very frequently used the beds that we had available to us, and it also is much more practical for both parties to have a fixed dollar amount agreement, we moved to a methodology where we would pay $50 per bed regardless of whether we use them. The vast majority of time those beds were used, and so that agreement was of very good value to the city. In early 2025, there was a supplemental shorter term agreement adding an additional 12 beds, bringing that number to 20. And that agreement ran through June 30th of 2025. In April, we began negotiating a new agreement with Jackson County. We realized we would need more time to complete that agreement. There were legitimate concerns on both sides of that discussion. Jackson County pointed out very fairly that costs have gone up and this agreement has not increased over time with those costs. That is a perfectly fair concern to have. We had also just come out of a biennial budget where we had budgeted for what the agreement would be as we knew it, and there's no, until the city arborist tells me otherwise, there's no money tree in the city of Medford. And so we had a fixed amount of money to work with, which is also a legitimate concern. So it was a fair discussion. We did a 90-day extension to give ourselves more time to negotiate, and then ultimately we reached an agreement that we're bringing forth tonight, where what we do to try and address both of those concerns is keep the total dollar amount of the agreement the same for the next 2 years, but reduce the total number of beds from 20 to 14, increasing the price per bed per day from $50 to about $71. This would be a 2-year agreement. And one of the things that we put in, just as a reminder to both parties involved, is that we need to start renegotiating this thing in January of 2027 so that we're not doing it again right after we pass a biennial budget. And with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions or deflect any hard questions to the more smart people behind me.
Questions? Mr. Stein, then Mr. Cart.
Okay, so you mentioned at the very end there, right, this is past our budget season, so how is this getting paid for? I mean, it just says general fund. So what are we doing to pay for this?
So my understanding is we had anticipated that the 20 beds at $50 per bed per day would continue throughout this biennium when the biennial budget was putting forward. This agreement that we're dealing with today is the exact same total cost to the city as it would be if we had an agreement for $50 per bed per day for 20 beds. So it's continuing forward with a total financial trajectory, even though the exact number of beds is going down. That's how it is not going to need any supplemental budget or anything like that.
Okay. You mentioned that the cost of, housing an inmate has gone up, but the jail would pay that no matter what, right? The amount to the jail would not increase or decrease based on this agreement.
So the amount that we are paying Jackson County per bed per day does increase. We're just using fewer. So if you're talking about a per bed cost, it is increasing. The total dollar amount, the amount of the check we're sending them quarterly does stay the same. But in terms of the cost per bed, it is increasing to address some of the concerns they have with increasing costs.
I mean, in essence, like this room will cost the city of Medford the same no matter what. If we rent it out for someone's birthday party, then we're just getting additional revenue, but the cost is the same, right? We don't get, their cost to have someone in here isn't not going to increase our bottom line. We're just accepting more revenue to offset the cost of having this room. So the jail isn't costing more, right? It doesn't cost them any money by having us put people there. It's still going to cost the same amount in terms of staffing, electric, food, whatever else. If MPD did not put people in there because we have jail beds, it would just be other people that were there. We're just reserving space.
Oh, okay, and I appreciate your question now better. So it is correct that if we did not have this agreement, they would have the exact same costs for deputies and materials and all those things. And when an entity lodges someone and just puts them under the normal matrix instead of a reserved bed, that entity isn't paying per bed per day. So that is correct.
All right, thank you.
Mr. Card?
This might be one of those hard questions that you want to get Judge Greer involved. And so basically what I want to understand is, I know Judge Greer has talked to us about the value of these beds, but I think in the context of us having this conversation, I would love to hear an abridged version of what this means for your office and for our community, because I always like to hear the good things that we have going on.
Good evening, Mayor, Council, Virginia Greer, Municipal Court Judge. So the abridged version of why these beds are useful, I would say, so just to give you a sense of how we use the beds, we'll start there. So livability team puts people in these beds that they're aiming to connect with services, people that they've identified as chronic offenders that are causing a huge amount of problem in the downtown area, that have been picked up, lodged, released, picked up, lodged, released, potentially as many as 4 or 5 times in a day before they're put in one of these beds. So the livability team has a couple different things that they look at as they're lodging people. Those are 2 of the top ones that we see. We also have a chronic retail problem, a retail theft problem in Medford. And so there's a part of the Medford Police Department that does report writing specifically for retail theft. And once they've identified someone who is a chronic offender, they will ask permission to put what we're still calling a no matrix hold on these offenders, which means that they'll go into one of the Medford municipal beds so that they can have a moment to get them out of this particular cycle. Hopefully we can hold them accountable, have a discussion with them about the effect that not only they're having on the retail, but on the community, and impose some sanctions and restitution so that our retail partners can hopefully recoup some of that. And the third way we're using this, which might go to why are we paying extra money for people that would already be there, is for people who have chronic failures to appear. So when I started in 2023, it wasn't uncommon for me to be seeing cases that were from 2015, 2013 even, people that had 20, 30, 50 cases before they were held long enough to deal with those matters. Now it is extremely rare for us to see a case that's even as old as 2023. So we have cleaned up a huge amount of backlog. And I can tell you that after we ran a report a couple of weeks ago, we were able to say definitively that our warrant requests coming out of court sessions between second quarter of this year and second quarter of 2024, those warrant requests went down about 46%, which is a huge number. And the impact of those beds is primarily responsible for that. So in terms of why are we paying money for the beds? Because we're not paying money for the warrants, and we're saving the officers' time, we're saving the court's time, we're saving the jail's time by not having those people coming in and out of the system on a chronic basis. I know I said abridged, that was awfully long, sorry.
And so just making sure I understand, this matrix that Mr. Mitten was discussing, the problem is that the people that we're able to hold in these beds would not otherwise be held under that matrix system, and so therefore we would have all those backlogs and stuff because we couldn't get on top of things. And
That's definitely part of it. And so I actually, when Mr. Minton was talking about the matrix, I leaned over to the sheriff and I said, does it drive you crazy? We still call it that. So I don't think the jail has called it a matrix in a very long time. It's just kind of an institutionalized word that we all use. So what they use is an assessment tool when someone comes in to kind of look at who they are, what their criminal history looks like, what their likelihood of recidivism is. Oftentimes that tool is really accurate and oftentimes it just isn't. And so some of these people might be held on other charges, but the people that are there on trespasses or disorderly conducts or maybe theft threes might not be held unless they have bigger matters, like maybe they're on a detainer or they've got a circuit court matter, but typically that's the case.
I think 3 questions I had have all been answered through that, which I really appreciate. Is this what's the normal length of a hold for one of the beds we're using? Is it just a day or overnight, or is it sometimes longer than that?
It's often longer. So typically when someone is lodged, and I see them in the morning, we do lodged arraignments every morning at 8:30. If they plead not guilty and ask for an attorney, we'll appoint them an attorney, and then we set out pretrial 2 to 3 weeks, depending on kind of where we're at with our docket. So I'd like to keep it at 2 weeks, but sometimes our docket gets really, really large, and so we move it over to the next week. If they plead guilty, I don't tend to hold people in our beds that are just serving a sanction unless they're referred there by the livability team for the purpose of getting services, and they need a period of time for that person to be there so that they can make that connection so the person has a soft landing when they come out.
Do we have anything measurable, or might we be able to get it with Apricot, that would show an impact on recidivism?
Yes.
By actually getting these people through to trial and potentially connected to treatment?
So measuring recidivism is one of those very, you would think it would be really simple. I mean, if someone is in the system today and they're never in the system again, right, there's no recidivism there. But the way our database works, it doesn't track anything like that. And so I'm really hoping that we might be able to develop reports through Apricot to look not only at the length of stay time in our jail beds, which we also don't have a measurable for, but also the recidivism rate of the people that are occupying those jail beds. But those reports would be very specific to the jail bed occupancy, not to the court in general. Make sense? Okay.
Jessica?
Judge, I'm sorry if I missed this, but I didn't hear you speak to your feelings of reducing the jail beds from 20 to 14.
So it's not ideal. I think I was asked during our budget presentation how many jail beds could I fill, and I think I kind of gave a glib response of, if you build it, they will come. But the reality of the situation is we use those 20 jail beds. I was explaining to Mr. Curlinger earlier that we have an internal mechanism where at least twice a week I send out a email to the livability team that just says, this is how many people we have in our jail beds right now. I try to keep a buffer of maybe 2 jail beds going into the weekends just to give them some flexibility. But if we need more room, here are the people that I would suggest get bumped first. So this is a regular occurrence, and we do keep those beds full. It's unfortunate, but I mean, the circumstances, they are what they are.
Other questions for the judge? Mr. West?
I think my questions are directed towards the sheriff, since he was kind enough to come this evening. Thank you, Judge. Sheriff, I was hoping you could speak a little bit about the services that are provided at the current jail, and what kind of capacity you think our community needs in the future.
Yeah, thank you for allowing me to be here tonight and answer these questions. So currently, we offer a fairly significant array of services compared to what we have done in the past. With our muni beds to start, I know that they have what I would call, and I don't know if it's the right term, but like a transition care coordinator who comes in and works with the population to try to figure out what their needs are when they're leaving custody and try to hook them up with the appropriate resource to help them, get a hand up, so to speak. So maybe we can reduce their chance of recidivism or reoffending and being back in custody. We also have a very similar program. It's called the JRRP program, which is the jail reentry restoration program or something like that. I can't think of the exact acronym, but that's been in place for about a year and a half, and it does essentially the same thing. As individuals are leaving custody, they're able to get an assessment. Of course, that's voluntary if they're willing to sit down with these individuals, and this is a partnership between Community Justice and Health and Human Services and the Sheriff's Office. And again, do an assessment, find out what they may need to have better success outside of custody, and do our best to link them up with the appropriate services, whether those are mental health services, whether those are addiction services, employment services, housing, you name it. They're pretty much like kind of a one-stop shop for connecting resources, or like a resource broker, I can best describe it. Recently, we've also brought in peers into our jail, peer networks. So we work with 3 different peer providers to have individuals who have lived experience, who are certified peers now, and come into the jail to work with our offender population, talk to them about different choices, things they've learned in their journeys to recovery and to making better choices. And we find that that's been pretty successful at helping individuals make a little bit different choice as to what they may do when they leave our facility, and also take advantage of some of the opportunities. We offer medication-assisted treatment. Specifically, we're really focusing on MOUD, which is medication for opioid use disorder. And we even have a partnership with a Medford treatment clinic. So we can get individuals started on methadone inside of our facility. And once they leave our facility, they are automatic patients of that clinic. So we've done a lot around the addiction issue, trying to link individuals with services in the hopes that they can, battle their addiction and not return to our jail. As to the second part of your question, which was, what do we need, I think, for space, is that right? Yeah. We did studies over the years, and, we attempted to go for a service district that would have funded a new jail back in 2020. At that time, the assessment based on current trends, the criminal justice system, and a 50-year outlook, it was an 800-bed facility. And so, we have looked at different options since then, because there's other factors that are impacting the criminal justice system right now. Oregon's bail reform, Senate Bill 48, which is another factor why these muni beds are so important. Many low-level crimes, to include, my best count as of today was like 159 felony charges, have to be released from jail immediately in Oregon. And so muni charges are not subject to those releases. And so that really gives us an opportunity to hold on to those individuals, to have an assessment done and see what they may need. So it's another benefit to the program, that these individuals would otherwise be released without the muni court beds in our jail. But yeah, I think, that number, do we need for 50 years or we need immediately? We've seen great progress with these beds that we have contracted with the city of Medford. We've had to close and open the basement of our jail or reduce beds twice during my tenure as a sheriff. Well, I was just prior to the sheriff. We had to close a portion of our jail, the basement, due to staffing. So we lost 60 beds. We saw significant increases in crime, warrants being issued and failed to appears. When we opened up those 60 beds, we saw a significant reduction in those numbers, implemented a few other programs, and we saw drastic decreases in warrants and failed to appears. So even 60 beds has been an extreme benefit. And then during COVID, we also had to reduce our population by about 60 beds to meet communal housing standards and best practices. And again, we saw spikes in, our failed to appears, warrants issued, and violent crime as well. Now, there's other factors. That's not the only factor. I'm not going to tell you that that's the only factor. We had Measure 110, we had fentanyl, we had other things as well along those times. But we have seen consistent improvements within our criminal justice system with the addition of beds. So I can't tell you the exact number we need. I can tell you that different models, up to 800 beds, I think that would probably be underutilized today, but that would probably serve our community for 50 years, at least the estimates that we had then. So I would say anywhere from, 100 more beds to 200 more beds would be adequate for the next several years. But as our population increased and things changed, we would probably need to expand eventually at some point.
Thank you.
Kevin? Thank you. I don't know if this is right for Mr. Mitten or for, maybe it is. Thank you, Sheriff. So I'm guessing we have a 100% utilization rate currently, correct?
Is that for me?
I guess that would have been for Judge Greer, but I don't know.
Are you talking about the municipal beds or about the jail in general?
The municipal beds.
As of today, yes, we are at capacity as of today.
Okay. And then for Eric, I'm sorry. It says in the ordinance that we executed an IGA in 2025 for 20 beds.
So that was, we had an agreement in 2022 for 8 jail beds, and then the 2025 agreement was a second supplemental agreement that added an additional 12. So you put the two agreements together and you get to the 20. The agreement in early 2025 was a short-term agreement that ran through the same expiration date as the 2022 agreement.
So, okay, it expired in June 30th, 25.
They both expired in June 30th, and they were both subject to the
Okay.
90-day extension agreement.
Why would we not want to continue the 20 beds, even at a higher rate of cost?
Why
did
the
you
real
negotiate?
So if we had money sitting around, we would love to.
What's the estimated cost that it would cost to have 20 rather than 14?
I could, let me grab my calculator.
I mean, we just spent a lot of money.
It would be about $91,250.
All right, 91,000 per year, I believe that would be.
Well, 71 something is roughly, oh no, it'd be more than that. It's almost 50% more. So it would be
So
more
it-
like $180,000.
So it would be an additional roughly $180,000 per year, according to our financial expert, Counselor Curlinger.
I think we spent an awful lot of marijuana money on things that might have been better spent towards this. That's all I have to say right now.
And I can say that this, if there was a situation where council found unallocated funds it wanted to use for this, I'm sure we could approach Jackson County and talk about doing a supplemental agreement to increase the numbers. That is an option. Nothing about this agreement prevents us from doing that, but as we were negotiating this agreement, I looked under every couch cushion I could, and I did not want to spend money we did not have comfortably sitting around.
What did they initially come to us with as far as an increase in the cost that we reduced it to $20 extra in bed?
There were a lot of discussions back and forth, and it was more discussions about interests and concerns than a straight up, when you're negotiating the settlement value of a car crash. Someone says a number, someone else says a number, someone says a number, and then you end up at the ultimate one. This one was, there was a lot of discussion, but it was ultimately more back and forth about concerns and interests. And some of the data points that they had shared is it costs them, in terms of their cost of operating a jail bed, about $150 per bed per day. And then they also shared that, for example, U.S. Marshals, when they are storing someone before extraditing them to Missouri, pay, I believe, about $115 per bed per day. Now, they use a smaller amount. There's less of a connection to the local community, so it's not necessarily an apples-to-apples comparison, but those were two data points that were discussed before ultimately we went back and forth and landed on the $71 as a compromise.
Thank you.
Mr. Quinn, did you have a question?
A question, and really, I suppose a question. Well, no, actually, I have something more for when we discuss it after the question portion.
That works. Yes, Mr. Stein.
The first thing I would say to the council is, as far as council actions, we made an action to go to 3. We gave directive to go to 8. So this is directive to go to 14, right? So I see this really 8 to 14, not 20 to 14, because the council never made a directive to go to 20 in the first place. That was something that wasn't our push. So I see us going from 3 to 8 to 14. So I've supported all of those, and I'll support this one. But Judge Greer, I do have a question, because I'm a data person. I'm fascinated by Mr. Curlinger's ability just to throw numbers out there, but that's his livelihood. So I see it when you look at like police reports that go into the newspaper. It'll say like they're on the 1400 block of Main Street or whatever, And then if they don't have an address, if they're homeless, then I'll just say no address of record or something of that nature. So for the people that are, that you're holding with these muni beds, have you captured the data of like what percentage of them are people without an established residence?
I have actually never looked at that particular piece of information. That might be, we might be able to capture that, but I don't know the answer to that. I'll ask Cassie, who's our court supervisor, tomorrow about if there's a report she can run. I know that the police department captures some information in terms of like location of arrest. I don't know if that would satisfy the question, but we can try to find it for you.
Yeah, I just get curious about that because I'm wondering, are there like younger adults that kind of see some of the in and out portion of this that might be housed otherwise, but they just see an opportunity to be, kind of do crimes and not be held accountable? Or is it just primarily, homeless individuals that are the ones that are having the FTAs and things like that, where you're like, okay, we got to hold this person and try to provide services and get them on the right track?
Yeah, I'll see what information I can find for you.
Great, appreciate it.
Yeah.
Mr. Quinn?
Wouldn't you do that during the booking process? Wouldn't they get their last known address when you book them? Or when the jail does?
Yes, please. I don't know what information they get during the booking process.
Yeah, that usually is captured during booking and arrest. Sometimes individuals may not be cooperative during arrest or provide that information. And at times, even at the booking, we do have people who don't want to give their home address or where they're staying for fear that we'll find them if they commit additional crimes. But we do track that information within our systems, and we can offer up to generate reports within our JMS system that might capture data. So if the council had specific data points that they wanted, we could try to generate a report through our system. So if you want to email me at some point questions that you have interest in, I can work with Judge Greer and try to figure out all the answers that we can give you to your questions through our data system.
Or they might decline to state where they live, because if they get released with a search clause, you'll know where to go.
Yeah, that's entirely possible as well. Yeah, I mean, we have a fairly significant amount of individuals who do refuse to give a home address or don't have one to give, and so basically they're listed as say a Medford area transit or Ashland area, depending on what city they're brought from.
Mr. Keating, do you have one more?
I do, I'm sorry. For Judge Greer, if we were to spend $150,000 a year more and get a full 20 beds, would that save more than that in cost to the city, in your opinion?
Well, I can express to you what I have seen in terms of a reduction in the warrants that we've had go out from the court, which saves court time, saves staff time, saves police department time, because the warrant request starts in court where if someone doesn't show up, I note that they fail to appear. We issue a warrant that goes initially to staff, then that goes over to the MPD records. They enter it. It then is distributed out, and when police officers contact them, they find the person, they arrest the person, they take the person to jail. At the jail, if we don't hold them in a municipal bed and they get released, then we start the cycle over again. I don't have a dollar figure as to what that would cost, but I would imagine it would be substantial to repeat that cycle in mass.
I won't hold you to it, but you think we might be saving more than $150,000 for the
For the year, potentially. Okay. We can definitely look at some numbers and see what we can put together in terms of staff time and what it costs, police officer time, what it costs for the police department, and see what we can get to you. Of course.
I think one final follow-up, Sheriff, if you don't mind. There is one of the original questions had to do with, hey, is Medford paying double, I guess, for this space?
Is Medford paying double?
Yeah, I mean, if you rent the space, the idea is, hey, you've got a fixed cost. What do you care if it's this or that? I think there's clearly some background on that maybe.
Yeah, we have agreements or contracts with other entities. Ashland has some uni beds. The U.S. Marshals was discussed, and we give the city of Medford a considerable break. I think our other contracts are over $100 each, and I think one's $125, one maybe $115. Now, those are based on each day the person's in a bed. So, for instance, if say Ashland only used one bed, they would be billed for one bed at that cost, which is a little bit higher than what you pay. You pay a fixed cost because you have, in my opinion, as the sheriff, a lot of beds, which is great to use and is helpful to the community, but tracking that would be more difficult. You also bring services into the jail through your JRP or for your release program, and you manage those beds, so it takes work off our staff and whatnot. So, are you paying double? Meaning, in essence, I guess you could look at it that way, but we would be under no obligation to hold your Unicourt folks in our custody, and they would be released immediately based on crowding. So they would fall generally, maybe not every single one, but generally the crimes are going to be under the Senate Bill 48, which are not subject, but they're similar crimes, your trespass, your DOCs, and on our safety checklist or public safety checklist and assessment tool, generally those individuals are going to be out soon, and hence you're paying for not to be subjected to that same type of release or in that order.
Okay. Any other questions? Thank you. Without any, is there a motion? Mr. Card.
Which one are we on here? Is your point? 78. I move to approve Council Bill 2025-78.
Second.
Second from Curlinger. Discussion. Yes, Mr. Curlinger.
I just want to say to Mr. Minton and Sheriff, thanks for taking the time to bounce this back and forth and keep it going. I've asked a lot of questions in the background even before tonight. Thank you, Judge, for helping answer those. I think from everything I've learned, this is a very helpful program. I think it is helping our community. And I hope ultimately is actually helping some of the people we're bringing in and out who are actually getting connected to treatment and services. I think there can be some hesitation that when we talk about putting people in jail, it just feels like throwing a problem in the corner until it stops bothering us, and I don't think that's the design or execution of this. I think it is actually attempting to get these people connected with services so they're not recidivizing and they're not being a nuisance anymore. I'm obviously speaking in favor of the motion.
Great. Other discussion? Mr. Quinn.
Just briefly, I've only, let's see, in January it'll be 25 years as a DA. I do this all day, and this is an absolute no-brainer yes. This is the easiest thing we've seen in a long time. This is not hard at all. So I'll be voting strongly yes, and if there's anybody who has any reservations, I would be very pleased to have a discussion about it.
Meet you in the parking lot afterwards, John? Is that...
Only you.
That's a bit aggressive, sir. We have council rules.
No, I'm just saying, if there's any questions or anything that you want to discuss, I've lived this for not half of my life, but close. Yeah. So I'm happy to have a discussion as we debate this.
Perfect. Yes, Mr. West.
I support the motion. I've had many hours of discussion with the sheriff, with Judge Greer, and with other community members, particularly focused on the services that our community is providing to those who are detained and who sometimes need space and a timeout. And I have been significantly impressed with the progressive nature of how our community is handling community justice. There's much more to do. I think we need to invest much more money, but I think this is a necessary step in the right direction. So I'll be voting in favor.
Yeah, I think from an overall community safety standpoint, this is just a very innovative, and I think we should take a little bit of pride in how we're, number one, trying to addressing crime that normally gets, again, released, put back in. There's, just that revolving door as you go in and out. And I think it's important. I think we have a lot that we could study about this and learn it better and be able to speak to the effectiveness better. But I mean, look, at the end of the day, kudos to every single person up there. Sheriff, great job. Appreciate all the work you're doing. Judge, same. And I don't get to vote unless you guys mess this all up, but I would support it. Yes.
Chief, thanks to you too. Didn't mean to leave you out. You just didn't come down with everyone.
All right, Winnie, roll call, please.
Nick Card,
Yes.
Mike Kurlinger,
Strong yes.
John Quinn,
Yes.
Garrett West,
Yes.
Zach Smith,
Yes.
Kevin Keating,
Yes.
Jessica Ayers,
Yes.
and Kevin Stein.
Yes.
We have 8 yes.
All right, motion passes. Thanks all. Do you need a drink of water real quick, Mr. Mitten? Are you good?
Got it right
All
here.
right, okay.
All right. Item 80.2 is Council Bill 2025-79, a resolution authorizing the Parks, Recreation, and Facilities Department to apply for an Oregon Department of Energy Community Renewable Assistance Program grant for a solar carport system at the Road Credit Union Community Complex.
Great. Request for staff report or motion, Mr. Kurlinger? Or a
Can I
question?
move to approve Council Bill 2025-79?
Second.
I got it.
Well, that was a question. That wasn't a motion, was it?
Did you get the motion in second? Okay. Discussion. Yes.
Applying for this grant isn't costing the city anything other than what we're already investing in this project anyway, correct? Yes. I mean, it is a question, but I think I'm clarifying what I think
it's
I
worth-
already know.
Some grants you may not want to get, but maybe Mr. Rosenthal will explain why we do want this.
It was a clarification of what I believe to be true.
Sure.
Good evening, Rich Rosenthal, your Parks Recreation Facilities Director. The answer to your question, Councilor Kurlinger, is yes, there is no additional cost to apply for the grant. We just have to have your permission in order to submit it on Friday by 5 o'clock.
I guess, Rich, since you're there, is there anything in particular about this, like the granting body that would either create additional hardship to finish the project or?
No,
easy
it's a
money?
$2 million project. So it's an opportunity for up to $1 million in state funding that would save the funds that we have left over in the Rogax construction for other things. So it's an opportunity.
Perfect. All right, any other, no, actual discussion, I guess. Thank you, Rich. Winnie, will you call the roll?
Mike Kurlinger,
Yes.
Nick Card,
Yes.
Kevin Keating,
Yep.
Jessica Ayers,
Yes.
Zach Smith,
Yes.
Garrett West,
Yes.
Kevin Stein,
Yes.
and John Quinn.
Yes.
We have 8 yes.
Motion carries. We move on to public hearings, but before beginning the public hearing, I would like to remind everyone that the rules of decorum previously outlined are still applicable, and violation of the decorum policy may result in your removal from the chambers. This evening, we have one quasi-judicial hearing. If you'd like to speak during this hearing, please complete a blue public comment form to be called forward. Comments for quasi-judicial hearings are limited to a total of 30 minutes for applicants and/or their representatives. A 5-minute rebuttal time may be requested. Appellants and/or their representatives are limited to a total of 30 minutes, and if the applicant is not the appellant, they will also be allowed for a total of 30 minutes. All their participants will be limited to 4 minutes. Quasi-judicial hearings have specific requirements, which City Attorney Eric Mitten will outline before the hearing begins. Mr. Mitten.
Thank you, Your Honor. 90.1 is Council Bill 2025-80, an ordinance proclaiming annexation to the City of Medford a single developed parcel totaling approximately 0.50 acres or 0.58 gross acres, located south of Stewart Avenue and west of Lozier Lane. Address is 1320 Thomas Road. The county zoning designation of RR 2.5 will be changed to the city's SFAR 00, single-family residential, one dwelling unit per existing lot holding zone. The property will be removed from Medford Rural Fire Protection District Number 2. And because this is quasi-judicial, I have to read these rules for the record. I'm going to explain the rules that govern this hearing. Before the hearing begins, city staff will give a report. The report will list the criteria that governs the city's decision. After the staff report, the hearing will be opened for other speakers. The applicant will speak first and may ask for rebuttal time. Following the applicant, any other interested person will be allowed to speak. Before the hearing is closed, anyone who needs more time to present evidence must ask for more time. If you ask, the hearing will be continued or the record will be kept open, and you'll have at least 7 days to present additional written evidence. Any testimony, argument, or evidence you give must relate to the criteria listed in the staff report or other criteria in the comprehensive plan or land use regulations that you believe apply to the decision. If you fail to raise an issue or do not give the council sufficient information so the council and any party can respond, you'll not be able to appeal that issue to the Land Use Board of Appeals. If you do not raise constitutional or other issues about any proposed condition, with specificity so that the council can respond to that issue, you'll not be able to bring a court action for damages. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mitten. Before we begin considering this item, does anyone have a conflict of interest or ex parte contact to report? All right, may we have staff report, please?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Good evening, Council. Dustin Sievers with the Planning Department. I'll be presenting the staff report for the Acre annexation. It should be a fairly quick presentation. This is a Type 4 quasi-judicial decision, so the City Council is the approving authority. The criteria for annexation are found in Section 10.2164 of the Land Development Code, and they are included on the screen here. And as you can see, there are just 4 criteria that the applicant is required to comply with. I'll be addressing each criterion at the end of the presentation. Begin by looking at our project summary. So the subject site consists of a single parcel, totals approximately a ½ acre. As you can see, it is fronted by Thomas Road, which is currently a Jackson County maintained road. And the property is right on the edge of city limits on the southwest corner of the city. The property is currently developed with a single-family residence. As you can see on the screen here, there is currently a manufactured home on the property, and to the north there is a accessory structure. And you can also see that the abutting properties also have single-family residential developments. Site is within our urban growth boundary. It has a general land use plan designation of urban residential. And as you see here, that the property does abut the city properties to the west and the south, and these properties were brought in the city in 2006. And the parcel currently has a Jackson County zoning of rural residential 2.5. So on approval of the annexation, the property will be we'll get the zoning of SFR 00, which is our holding zone we give residential properties when they come into the city, and they remain SFR 00 until the time the project goes through a zone change, at which time we will look at facility adequacy, such as the traffic system and utilities. And the proposal is to annex the property. Again, it's about a ½ acre, and the annexation will include the abutting right-of-way of Thomas Road. And along with that, they will also be remove from Medford, the property from Medford Rural Fire District number 2. So once the property is annexed in the city, what can be done with the parcel? So again, it will be have the SFR 00 zoning, which allows only a house along with an accessory dwelling unit, nothing above and beyond that. So as you can see, the property currently has a single family home on it, so they could put an accessory dwelling unit on the property. However, the applicant has stated this is their intent to redevelop the property. They didn't go into any specifics on what exactly they plan to do. However, I can't tell you what they could possibly do. So the first step to redevelop would be to rezone the property. Again, that's when we look at facility adequacy. Since they do abut the SFR 10 zoning districts, likely that's what they would be rezoned to. So once the property is rezoned, the ½ acre could just be developed as is. Given the size of the property and the zone, they could max out on a middle housing. I mean, they could do 4 units in any configuration. Another option would be to subdivide the property. I'll show up at the top of the screen. I have a density calculation. So a ½ acre and a SFR 10 could get them a total of 6 lots. So I'll finish by addressing each individual criterion. The first criterion is satisfied, as again, the property is within our urban growth boundary. It has UR GLUP designation. Second criterion is satisfied, as again, the property does abut city property to the west and south. Third criterion is also satisfied, as the applicant has consented in writing for the annexation. And finally, the fourth criterion is not applicable, as the property is not in the urban reserve, so the annexation approval does not have to be accompanied with the approval of an urbanization plan. And finally, this isn't part of the criteria, but there is a state statute that limits local governments from approving annexations within a 90-day blackout period, they call it. So we do have a special election coming up in November, so the effective date of this annexation will be the day after the election. And with that, we ask that you adopt the findings recommended by staff and approve the ordinance for annexation per the council report dated September 3rd, 2025, and that includes exhibits A through J. And with that, I can take questions. Thank you.
Questions for staff? Mr. Stein.
It can't be a car wash, right? All right.
Mr. Kurlinger.
So there's a note that the county's recommending the city also apply for responsibility for the portion of Thomas Road. What would that look like if the other side of the property is still county, the other side of Thomas Road is still county, but then this would become city? Would we take over that entire part of the road, just the half of the road?
Yeah,
Are we not going to do that?
Yeah. Generally, Jackson County always asks when we request maintenance jurisdiction. This particular case actually will be annexing this portion of Thomas Road. How it actually functions between the county, given the fact that it is sliced off, I'm afraid I don't have an answer for that one.
Other questions? All right. Seeing no further questions, at this point I'll open the public hearing. Anyone wishing to speak on this subject, please come forward as called. Did anyone fill out a comment card? Yes? Mr. Center, always great to see you.
Nice to see you, sir. Good evening, counselors and members of, and Mr. Mayor. Scott Center Consulting, Inc., 4401 San Juan Drive, representing the applicant. It was a great staff report. We meet all of the approval criteria. We're contiguous with the existing city limits where we have our consents in, and we meet all the criteria. I just want to clarify one thing. In the staff report, Dustin said that, you know, the ordinance is approved at a further time, and the ordinance would be approved today, but effective after the election. And then the entire right-of-way is being brought into the city at this time, and so that it will come in city jurisdiction. With that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Questions? Mr. Quinn?
It's not directly relevant, but Mr. McKechnie's not here to tell me to shut up, so I will ask you anyway. What zoning are you planning to seek after this? SFR 10 or?
We'd probably go with SFR 10.
All right.
Right.
Just out of curiosity.
Other questions? Reserve.
I would like to reserve time for rebuttal if necessary.
Of course.
And I would request your approval. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, now, anyone fill out a public comment form, Winnie?
No, Your Honor.
Or actually, if anyone would like to come down and speak on this matter, come on down. All right, seeing none, I will close the public hearing. Entertain a motion. Mr. Cart.
I move to approve Council Bill 2025-80.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Discussion. Mr. Kurlinger.
Scott, just want to say I was staring at my agenda, not at the presentation, and I missed that right away, so thanks for mentioning that.
Right. Other discussion? Okay, seeing none, Wendy, will you call the roll?
Nick Card.
Yes.
Jessica Ayers.
Yes.
John Quinn.
Yes.
Garrett West.
Yes.
Kevin Stein.
Yes.
Mike Kurlinger.
Yes.
Zach Smith.
Yes.
And Kevin Keating.
Yes.
We have 8 yes.
All right, motion carries. We are on to council business. There are a couple of proclamations, and they will be posted on our website that you can go see either one of them. One is for Constitution Week, and the other's for Library Card Sign-Up Month. Committee reports.
Thank you. Council officers agenda, we have 4 items. First item, we received a request from New Spirit offering a tour. Wanted to raise, Mayor and Eric wanted to raise a potential concern so that we were all aware. New Spirit does have a pending PUD application before the city. Should they disagree with the Planning Commission and it is appealed to City Council, a tour of New Spirit would be potential ex parte contact. Eric, do you want to talk about that?
Yeah,
more?
I'd be happy to talk to that. That's not to say that you can't go on a tour. You won't end up in a municipal bed if you go on a tour of New Spirit. But if you go on a tour of New Spirit and if their current application for whatever reason ends up before City Council, that is something that you'd have to disclose as an ex parte communication. You'd have to basically summarize whatever discussion you had with the New Spirit leadership while you were out at the site, just to put it on people's radar before they go on a tour if you choose to do so. It's allowed, but there is an asterisk.
All right. Second item, Mr. Field brought us an update on the medical school ad hoc committee. The committee, we're looking at sort of expanding the purview of this committee into more of a medical services focus, more broadly than just the medical school. We are continuing to receive interest from the community about these things. Obviously, we know we funded SOAP, which ties right into that as part of the physicians issue for our community. Was there anything else, or is that just the quick summary? Perfect. Third item on the agenda, we have about $700,000. Is that per annually or biennia? Okay, thank you. Oh, there you are. $700,000 per biennial budget in competitive and non-competitive general fund grants. And so there are 4 organizations that receive non-competitive or have historically received non-competitive grants from the budget. Mr. Martin brought all of this to our attention, and staff would like to bring to us in a study session in November some background on these grants, potentially discuss if we want to make all of these funds competitive, and what that might look like. However, these organizations that we do give these non-competitive grants to, they are organizations that do a lot of good work, and I know there's a timing issue for one. Mr. Martin, do you want to speak to that?
Yes, thank you, Mayor and Council. Ryan Martin, your Chief Financial Officer. I will be presenting with Chief Ivins, my partner in crime. As Mr. Card said, for a couple decades now, we have funded general fund competitive and non-competitive grants. The non-competitive go through a process that's starting right now and are awarded during the fall. But the non-competitive portion, we have historically just funded, and those have carried over from biennia to biennia. So as Mr. Card also mentioned, in November, we're going to be looking at the process and a little bit more historical information. However, there is one of these grants that we want to talk about tonight, and that is with Community Works. So since 2008, Community Works they started funding a domestic violence and sexual assault advocate position. So this was through a grant through the Federal Violence Against Women Act. So they funded this themselves for 5 years. When that grant expired, the city was asked to fund this position, and it has then been funded for about 12 years now through the general fund grant non-competitive portion. Started out at about $92,000 per biennium, and currently is at $160,000 per biennium. So I'm going to let Chief Ivins talk about what this position does and how important it is. This is we would consider an immediate need that can't wait till November, because we've been funding this for so long. It's so integral with our police department, and Community Works is worried that they would not be able to continue funding this position without this grant. So, Chief Ivins.
Mayor, Council, Justin Ivins, your 30-year employee and police chief. Yeah, no, I appreciate the opportunity to talk. The Community Works domestic violence advocate truly is a critical role in carrying out our mission as a police department. This position works in partnership with our domestic violence officer. This is a full-time position, and it is housed inside the Medford Police Department. So the advocate has a workstation there in our detectives division. This is a non-sworn position. And a lot of times in advocacy work, we find that people are more comfortable talking to someone that is not a sworn police officer. So we find that extremely beneficial. Some of the services that this position provides and assists us is they provide resources for survivors. They're a critical point of contact for these individuals that are going through these incidents. And probably one of the biggest things is they help navigate the court system, which can be extremely difficult at times. And I just ran into our DV advocate today over at the courthouse, and with a lady that had gone through an incident this past week. So anyways, it's a critical role, and just wanted to take a few minutes to say that. Thanks.
Thank you, Chief. So basically, so it's $160,000, is that the amount?
Yes, per biennium, and it
Per
is
biennium.
currently in this biennial budget.
Okay, so it would be out of the general fund grants allocated funds.
Yes.
And so basically, we just need a motion allocating those funds for this program, so that way we can keep this position there.
Yes.
Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
All right, I got a motion. Second?
Second.
All right. Any discussion on this issue? Mike?
Chief, would you say, in addition to being a non-sworn officer, is there probably some additional benefit to this role or some more flexibility with this role in the fact that it's actually completely independent of MPD employment? Does that question make sense?
Yeah, it does, and yes, absolutely. But I think what we have found is that it just opens up a whole nother line of communication. Sometimes the officer works better. It just depends. Each case is different.
Kevin?
Just a clarification, is this $160K per year or per biennium? Kind of got mixed up there.
Per biennium.
So it's $80,000 a year. And is most of that salary?
Yes, almost the entire amount is salary.
Okay.
Any other discussion? Do you need a roll call vote for this?
No, I don't think so.
All right. What? Yeah, let's do a roll call. Winnie,
Please
can we
do.
please have a roll?
I meant yes.
Mike Curlinger,
Yes.
John Quinn,
Yes.
Zach Smith,
Yes.
Nick Card,
Yes.
Kevin Keating,
Yes.
Jessica Ayers, Kevin Stein,
Yes.
and Garrett West.
Yes.
We have 8 yes.
Awesome, that item passes. Thank you very much. Last item on the council officers' agenda, we heard at the last study session about the Bloomberg Harvard thing. We need formal approval of the hours for the Bloomberg Harvard program that Mayor Zarazinski and City Manager Field and other staff members are participating in. Kevin?
I move approval.
All right, we have to approve the hours for the program. Do I hear a second?
I second.
All right, Zach got that one. Any discussion?
I have discussion.
What's the name of the
Yes,
program?
ma'am. Bloomberg Harvard leadershipy thingy.
BH9, yo, no. So we sat there and had a really robust, good conversation. And really, I know we were talking about jail beds and costs, but on all honesty, we were talking about how are we addressing community safety in the city of Medford and what are we doing about that? And it was great, because by the way, I took a ton of notes about data, like how much is not known address? Are we getting the bang for our buck on this? And just making those notes. And that whole point of that data tract, which is number one, we've all kind of had those questions. And I don't think it's necessarily any kind of a thought of, hey, we're not collecting the right data. I mean, you heard that. We're actually upgrading software for that. So the real question is, are we analyzing the data the right way? And by the way, the team and the staff we have put together for this to evaluate all of that is going to be fantastic. And I really legitimately think it was just sort of an interesting I guess, discussion that we had, and clearly we're all committed to that idea of providing that better livability in this community as we can. So I would appreciate a yes vote, and thanks for letting me ramble.
Thanks, Mayor. Any other discussion? Winnie, could we have a roll call, please?
Recommend voice vote.
This is hundreds of hours, Kevin. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. All right.
We just saved seconds.
Saved you those seconds for your exciting Mira.
Until you start
Alrighty,
talking.
so that concludes council officers. Are there any committee or commission reports from the council? Jessica.
So had so ready on September 9th. Warren was there as well. A little early to give some information, but we have a local community partner, Jarek. He's on our Mira committee. He has a company called Annam, and they have somewhat of a housing related app that they use nationally. And he's So Ready is sponsoring a partnership with him to have a workshop with local employers to get data on what their employees are needing for housing and find better ways to connect them to service. And it's really too much to talk about right now, but I just wanted to plant that seed because that housing workshop will be in the end of October. I guess most importantly, So Ready hired a new executive director, Blair Sundell, who's awesome, came from Business Oregon. And then we just talked a little bit about like the peer grant for $500,000 that's going to work in Phoenix and Talent to get chamber staff and tourism dollars. And then the Southern Oregon Innovation Hub grant was awarded for 2 more years. So that will continue on to help local entrepreneurs. That's it.
Thank you. Any other committee or commission reports? Mr. West.
Our illustrious council president and myself attended the Vision Implementation Committee a few weeks ago. Discussion primarily centered on our reorganization of the committee. I was very happy I attended, since apparently I am the council liaison to that group, which I did not realize at the time. But we had a meaningful discussion about it, and I think our concerns about the committee being too large were understood by the group at large. Today I attended the Medford Water Commission meeting over at the Duff Treatment Plant. The water commissioners had a tour of the upgraded facilities there. We will be receiving an intergovernmental agreement that Medford Water approved today concerning their payments for the annex and the service center related to janitorial service and landscaping. The Water Commission also had their first employee survey, which they had a 60% participation rate. I have not had a chance yet to review the specific findings, but I'll be requesting a copy. There will be an after-action report concerning the recent water emergency that the community experienced. I do not have a deadline when that will be produced, but I am eagerly anticipating reading it. Lastly, on October 1st, at 10:45 a.m. there will be a ribbon cutting at the Duff Treatment Plant for some upgrades, which I'm not quite sure what they are, and we will all be invited. So that concludes my report.
Thank you, Mr. West.
I have a question about that. Can you give me the basics of this IGA?
Yes, my understanding is we have a IGA with Medford Water concerning their payments to the city of Medford for landscaping at the annex and janitorial services, as well as at the service center, and power, gas, utility, comms lines, things of that nature.
Do they want more or less?
They pay us.
Okay. Do they want to pay less or do they want to pay more?
I'm not privy to that information, but Mr.
Minton.
I can speak to this. They pay the actual cost for certain services. We've been doing this as an agreement for years with them, and we took a look at what services we actually provide. So, for example, this last agreement, we provide less IT services for them than we did last biennium, so we removed that line item, but they then reimburse us actual cost for services we provide for them, like landscaping. So it's not a negotiated dollar amount, it's just a recouping of actual costs. And because it's money coming into the city, it's traditionally been approved by the city manager.
So, do we currently have an IGA, or is this a proposal for an IGA?
It's a renewal of one, so we've got one, and we've re-upped it every year since I've been here, and probably a lot longer, maybe even before Mr. Stein was here.
I was just going to say, I've never heard of this, but because the amount is so small, that's why it's never came to the council level.
And also because it's money we're receiving, not money we're paying out.
Any other committee or commission reports, Mr.? Oh. Mike.
We had on the 10th, we had our Housing and Community Development Commission meeting, which I finally said correctly. It was largely getting things established since this formal committee is so new. Rules of procedure were adopted. We reviewed funding priorities, lining them up with council goals. There was a review of program funding sources and guidelines, where our funds are coming from, what we can use it for. I think the key thing in this is they set the timeline for this commission to be hearing funding RFPs for grant funding that's going to be coming up in November for the meetings, then for giving recommendation to council in the coming weeks after that.
Mike?
I mean, you can do it, but I was just going to make a mention of the chamber board meeting this morning.
Yeah, I can-
Simply because they invited outside partners in to give a little presentation and an update, which a couple things that stood out to me. One was the interim superintendent of Medford School District, and specifically her discussions on how they're kind of reevaluating how education gets delivered in not just ways, but location, and also, you know, really kind of pushing back. And it kind of tied into what we heard a little bit with RCC about this idea that let's get at least 2 years. If we can get kids out of high school with associate degrees, and what does that look like for college costs? And I think that's those. We certainly need to be working with all of them. Just I think that is just such an advantage to the kids that we have coming up, and I'm kind of excited to see these options that are out there. And then, of course, I think the county did talk about the airport expansion, and it sounds like they're really stepping on the gas on that, at least to get the phase 1 done. And I think that's going to be pretty exciting for the community as well.
The current date for that is 2030 completion for phase 1. And that's most of the concourse improvements and the ground side improvements. Phase 2 and 3 are much smaller, related to expansion of TSA and expansion of airport counters. So we're going to see a whole new airport in not that many years.
Yeah, I think I believe the number was 115, and essentially all gate improvements done.
Yeah,
and
10 gates.
10 gates, and
8
also,
of them jet bridges. So significant improvements coming. Any other committee or commission reports? I'll give one briefly. RV Act met. There was really no items of substance on the agenda, but we did get some interesting updates on project statuses. And in particular, ODOT is nearly wrapped with all of their improvements for the Big X and Highway 62. In fact, I just noticed Highway 62's restriping all the way out to Eagle Point is complete. So it looks good out there. We are reaching the end of road construction season. I'm sure Dan is getting excited and nodding along there. I think if anyone has anything else, John?
It's not a
microphone.
I guess I do have a brief committee or commission report. We met, RVSS met today, and consistent with the solar work we're doing at Rogue X, we also approved a solar system at headquarters to power the shop, and also our electric vehicle fleet to power those as well. It'll help us avoid both the cost of electricity and the demand pricing that Pacific Power does if you use too much power at one time. It's quite a savings, and we got a good deal. We use the same contractor as being used at Rogue X, and both of the plans I think will be excellent for the city and for RVSS. Separately, Mayor and I and Lilia Caballero, KJ, and Lieutenant Pietla from MPD had a meeting about improving outreach to the Latino community here in Medford, which, as we've seen in some of our reports, is 16 or 18 or more % of our population, so it's very important. And this, I noticed this as an issue when I spoke at the Latino Citizens Academy a couple months ago. I think it's a couple months ago now. There were a lot of questions and interest. Okay, great, you're a city councilor. What does the city councilor do? What does the mayor do? These might be questions from any one of our citizens, but these were essentially community leaders who were already very interested in learning about us, coming in and still having these questions. So I thought we could do better with outreach to the community. So I reached out to Lilia and to Rebecca and Mayor and KJ, and we had an excellent meeting today. Lilia put together a list of ways that we can do outreach, which includes the Spanish-speaking radio, the LINK, the Latino Interagency Committee, which meets once a month, and it's about 50 community leaders. Some of it is in Spanish. The Latino Citizens Academy was, the radio would be, but a lot of it is in English as well, so it would be accessible to all. So I'm going to be participating. She also asked for other counselors to let her know their email so she could send agendas out for Link and keep everyone apprised of activities. The point is we've initiated trying to do better on behalf of council and kind of dovetailing with what the police are doing. And it's now up to the 8 of us, 9 of us, to step up and actually do it. And I am. And I have a document for you guys to look at on ways that you can. And I commend it to you to talk to me, talk to Lilia, talk to Mayor, and let's get it done.
Thank you, John.
I have the handout if I'll
All right.
pass it down, Kevin.
Great. We don't have any appointments or anything like that, so I turn it back to you. Thank you, Mayor.
All right, thank you. And I'm going to turn it over to KJ for a staff report specific to the art contest recap.
A brief council community art contest recap. Good evening, Mayor and Council. Christina Wilson, Communications and Government Relations Director. I'm going to start with some background about the contest. It was a contest funded by the Council Community Initiative Fund at the request of Councilor Spansel and Councilor Ayers. It was a product of Councilor Spansel going to Washington, D.C. and being inspired by the results of the Congressional Art Contest, which you can see here. Each state has art represented on the wall that were picked by their representatives. Last winter, we opened the contest to all Medford High School students. The mayor and council selected 4 winners for a $1,000 cash prize. All in all, we received 19 submissions. Happy to report all 4 wards were represented in those submissions. You can see the submissions here on the screen, as well as a variety of high schools were represented in those submissions, including North and South Medford High School, Logos Charter School, and some home schools. The winning artwork is now on display here at City Hall on the first floor as you walk in, and the total cost of the contest came under budget at $5,000. Any questions?
We're at City Hall.
First floor as you walk back past security. So if you're going to go to like utility billing, they're right there on the wall.
Okay.
We couldn't do it on the wall kind of going to the elevator because it was too tight.
Perfect. Other questions? Yes.
What can be done to increase, say, the amount of submissions? I'm noticing some schools missing here, and just, is 19 what you were looking for, or are you looking for more?
Great question. It's the first time we've had a contest like this ever. So we did some direct school outreach to different contacts, especially to art teachers specifically, which garnered a lot of responses. Getting the submissions, I'd say like the last week, we had like 4. So I was really nervous. And then when the deadline hit, we had 19. So for the first time, I'd say yes. I think definitely a goal can be, if we approve funding for this, can be that we increase the amount of submissions. There's 4 winners, so keep that in mind. But $1,000 cash prize is not bad either.
Other questions? Mike?
Not really a question, but 19 for the first time we've ever done it seems pretty solid. I mean, I agree. I think we could get more, and there might be some other schools, but that's props to you guys because that's pretty good for 1 year.
Yeah, thank you. And we got a lot of media coverage on this. We got a lot of visibility through different school communications as well because we highly targeted those things. But I think we can build off of it.
Kevin?
Yeah, why wasn't St. Mary's on that list? We need to make sure if we have someone that can do some outreach over there.
I think I have a contact there now.
You're spending too much time on their times table.
Yeah.
I think it's religious discrimination personally, but no, I'm just kidding. But I do know that quite a few, there are AP art submissions going, and I don't see any reason why the people that do the AP art submission anyway wouldn't then apply for this. It's a no-brainer, and they're amazing to look at. So anyway, that might be something we could talk to. And then if you did talk to someone at St. Mary's and they didn't respond, let me know.
I have a contact now. Appreciate that.
Nick?
I know Medford Water does an art contest related to their calendar. Did you coordinate with them at all or talk with them?
I believe that there are contests as more elementary school students.
Okay, that's what I was thinking. I couldn't remember quite.
Yeah, this was open to all high school students. The theme was pretty broad, being community. And again, Councilor Spansel wanted to keep the scholarships to be cash. She really wanted people to be able to use them as is. But I mean, there's if there's an appetite to expand the age, we certainly could do that. That would definitely open up the number of submissions as well.
Kevin?
So how are these made? Were like these did they has to be on canvas? Like how was that done? I mean, I can't. These weren't people just going to AI and putting some stuff down. There needed to be some sort of effort put into, which we saw. I mean, if you looked at the things we got, I mean, there was effort put into everything we saw.
As you can, there's a variety of watercolors. We asked for the submissions to come in a PDF or a high resolution image because we knew that we were going to frame them and put them on the wall. Other than that, we didn't ask for certain specifications we didn't have specifications of it has to be made in this format. It was however you could get a copy of your artwork to us.
Great, thanks.
Well, great. Thanks, KJ. Yes.
I move that we use $5,000 of CCF funds to continue the program for another year.
Second.
Okay. Do you need discussion on that? Okay.
Yeah, what's the current budget? 1,000, is that correct?
No, it was 7.
It was 7, and so
It was budgeted $7,000 last year, but we only used $5,000. So this would just be $5,000 to just do what we did last year.
With 4 winners receiving $1,000 cash prize and $1,000 for the printing and the framing.
So the motion, as I understand it, essentially funds the program for another year out of CCIF.
Yes.
Okay. Mike?
I think the only reason I wouldn't vote in favor of that at this point would be to see what kind of lead time do you need and see if we want to think about expanding it. Do you think there's value in that? Or do you think this was really successful? Let's keep it going for another year and see if we want to go after that.
So, I mean, I think this is the first year we created the infrastructure. So if we're doing something similar, that's going to be a little easier to implement. It depends on when we want to do it. I mean, right now it's middle of September, so we could try and get this done by the end of the year, or we can aim for the springtime. We definitely have to do it within the school year because students are there. If we wanted to expand, I would suggest looking at our scholarship money because that obviously is a driver to submissions as well.
When did we do it last year? When were the winners, submissions and winners?
So it ran from end of October through November.
Oh, well, if we want to keep the same timing, then yeah, let's get it going. I didn't know the timing.
I mean, we can change it, right? Usually this seems like more of like a springtime,
Yes.
end of the year thing rather than a beginning of the school year.
Kids might be thinking about scholarship
But I mean, those things can
opportunities.
always be worked out. But yeah, I kind of see this be, February, March timeframe, putting everything out. And yeah, since we already have something, right, it makes it much easier. It's like, hey, these 4 students literally got money. Hey, do you want to use your, put your artistic ability and, potentially earn something? And we'll have a better, I'm sure we'll get more people applying next time around.
So just because this is kind of coming up a little bit at ad hoc, and I think I'd heard about maybe an intention of refunding it and just the idea that, hey, we've already gone through this once. Why don't we just run that program? It just makes sense to me. Clearly, you guys are the ones with the vote to just simply run through another year's of funding before getting too worried about expanding. But at any rate.
We could think about doing it at Pear Blossom time too, but I don't know if we want it to get muddied up in that.
Yeah,
but-
is it any issue with maybe just going ahead, refunding the program, and then maybe KJ could come back with timing options?
Yeah.
Okay.
Awesome.
Okay.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Do we need a little vote on that? I'm willing to go all in favor of essentially running this art program again for another year. Say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Motion carries. Thank you. Anything else, Mr. Field?
Just briefly, piling on to the discussion about the airport terminal, one of the things that the mayor and council advocated for in DC this year was for TIFIA was for airport funding, and had a long meeting with the FAA that was successful. A big part of the funding for this it comes out of that meeting. They're going to get about $44 million in TIFIA money coming into the project, which is largely a result of the city's advocacy through Kirby Garrett of CFM. So. That was an important. I think we've contributed something important to this project, making it more affordable.
Super. Thank you, Rob. Anything else for the good of the order, Kevin?
I'm just going to say the study session will be in the Medford room.
Anything else? All right, we are adjourned at 8:04.